Picture the all-American breakfast. Bacon sizzling in the pan, eggs beside it, maybe toast, maybe coffee. It's the breakfast on the diner menu, in the cookbook, in your grandmother's kitchen, as traditional as the country itself. Here's the thing, that's not quite what happened. Bacon and eggs is younger than the automobile. For most of American history, nobody ate it. And the reason you picture it now, the reason it feels like tradition, is that in the 1920s, one man was paid to put it there. He didn't sell you bacon, he sold you a doctor's orders. We tend to think our eating habits are old, handed down. The food of a people, shaped slowly by farms and seasons and family. And for breakfast, there's an extra layer of certainty. Because we've all heard the rule since childhood. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. A big morning meal sets you up, fuels you, keeps you healthy. Skipping it is practically reckless. So the picture fits together neatly. A hearty breakfast is healthy science says so, and bacon and eggs is the classic American version of it. Tradition and nutrition, pointing the same way. Except neither half of that is quite what it seems. The phrase, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, isn't ancient wisdom. It was popularized in print in 1917 in a magazine called Good Health, edited by John Harvey Kellogg, the cereal manufacturer. And it was hammered into the national mind in 1944 when General Foods ran a campaign for grape nuts with the line, "Eat a good breakfast, do a better job." The rule you grew up with was, in large part, an advertisement. And the bacon and eggs? That came from somewhere even more deliberate. To see how, you have to meet the man who arguably invented the modern idea of selling. His name was Edward Bernays, and if that name sounds familiar, here's why. He was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, and he spent his life applying his uncle's ideas about the unconscious mind to something Freud never imagined: persuading crowds. Bernays is often called the father of public relations. He didn't love the older word for what he did. The older word was propaganda. To understand what Bernays changed, you have to know what breakfast actually was before him. On the farm, in the 1800s, breakfast really was large because farm work was brutal and started before dawn. But as America moved into cities and factories, that logic disappeared. A clerk at a desk didn't need a plowman's calories. By the early 20th century, the urban American breakfast had shrunk to something light: coffee, maybe a roll or some toast. The big morning meal wasn't a tradition people were keeping. It was one they had mostly left behind. That was a problem for a company called Beech-nut, which sold packaged pork, including a lot of bacon, that simply wasn't moving. Beech-nut hired Bernays to fix it, and here is where he did something genuinely new. A normal ad man would have bought ads saying, "Buy more bacon." Bernays understood that people resist being sold to, but they trust authority. So he didn't advertise bacon at all. He went to a doctor he knew and asked a simple question. Isn't a heavier breakfast better for the body than a light one? The doctor agreed it could be. So Bernays asked him to write to other physicians, around 5,000 of them, and ask the same thing. About 4,500 wrote back agreeing, "A hearty breakfast is good for you." Then Bernays did the crucial part. He took that result to the newspapers. The headline wasn't about bacon. It was about health. Thousands of physicians, it announced, urge Americans to eat a hearty breakfast. And buried in the helpful examples of a hearty breakfast was a suggestion: bacon and eggs. Bacon sales rose, and the breakfast plate of a nation quietly rearranged itself around a press release. Ask the question this channel always asks: who benefited? Beech-nut, immediately its bacon moved. But the bigger winner was an idea, and the man who proved it worked. Bernays had demonstrated something that the entire modern economy now runs on. You don't change behavior by arguing with people. You change the environment they make decisions in. You don't say, "Buy bacon." You get 4,500 doctors to say, "Eat a hearty breakfast," and you let the customer connect the dots, believing the whole time that the idea was their own, or better yet, that it was science. In 1928, Bernays wrote a book laying this out plainly. He called it propaganda. Its first sentence describes the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses as a central feature of democratic society. He later used a gentler phrase for the same thing, the engineering of consent. And he didn't stop at breakfast. Bernays ran campaigns for some of the largest companies in America. In one of the most famous, he was hired to help sell cigarettes to women, at a time when it was taboo for them to smoke in public. His move was the same shape as the bacon trick, reframe the product as something else. He arranged for young women to light cigarettes during the New York City Easter Parade and had them described to the press as suffragettes, lighting torches of freedom. Smoking suddenly wasn't a vice. It was liberation. The pattern is always the same. Don't sell the thing, sell the authority or the identity that makes the thing feel inevitable. To be clear about the evidence, historians debate exactly how many sales any single campaign caused. What isn't in doubt is the method Bernays described it himself, in his own books, with pride. Once you can see the bacon trick, you start seeing it everywhere. The influencer who isn't running an ad, just sharing what she personally loves, in a post that happens to be paid. The studies show in a headline funded by the company the study flatters. The dentist on the toothpaste box, the native article that reads like journalism and is actually marketing. Every one of these is Bernays' move. Borrow someone else's authority so the sale never looks like a sale. We think of ourselves as harder to fool than people in the 1920s. We have fact-checkers, labels, skepticism. But the technique didn't get weaker. It got better, more targeted, more data-driven, harder to see. The bacon on your plate is proof of concept that's a century old. And notice how well it hides. A direct ad announces itself. You put your guard up. Bernays' method removes the guard entirely because the message never arrives as a sale. It arrives as a doctor's recommendation, a friend's enthusiasm, a fact everyone already seems to know. By the time it reaches you, it doesn't feel like persuasion at all. It feels like the truth. That is the whole genius of it, and the whole danger. And the deepest part isn't the bacon, or the cigarettes, or any single product. It's the realization that a preference that feels completely your own, what a normal breakfast is, what freedom looks like, what's healthy can be installed from the outside, and feel, from the inside, exactly like your own taste. None of this means you should stop eating breakfast, or that bacon is a conspiracy. The eggs are fine. The point is quieter and stranger. The most ordinary thing you do all day, the food you reach for without thinking, first thing in the morning, was, in part, designed, chosen for you, by someone you never met, to solve a problem that was never yours. So the next time something feels like simple, common sense, it's worth asking one quiet question. Whose sense was it before it was yours? This is Unwritten, and there's always more to the story.